Well, welcome back to the Shell podcast here at WeBank. This is Brian Hall, Manager of Supplier Diversity, Diversity Outreach, and Small Business Programming for Shell. And you just heard me share kind of the outline of Shell's midstream business. And so hopefully that was value added for you. We're excited because this segment we're actually going to get to talk to one of our favorite suppliers. And I'm going to introduce to you Ms. Lori Davis. She's the president and CEO of rig-chem, based out of Louisiana. And welcome to the podcast, Lori.
Thank you, Brian. It's exciting to be here. It's been an exciting week, so we're really having a great time.
Well, let me make sure people understand why I say you're one of our favorite, because it's not about just the business that you do with Shell, which you're going to talk a little bit about here in a few minutes, but it's about how Lori chooses to give back and help beyond the coming to a WeBank conference and looking for business and looking to grow her business and help others. And that really means a lot to us because you can do 100 other things. And what I'm speaking of is that she's actually helping us as a mentor of a student entrepreneurship program. That's a program that WeBank has that you'll hear a little bit more about later. And Lori, while we'll get into that in a minute, I just really wanted to make sure I say to you, thank you for your leadership, your commitment, and your willingness to go the extra mile to help these. And I know there's a reason for it, and maybe we'll get a chance for you to share that, okay?
Absolutely.
But thank you for that. I want to make sure that people know why I say you're one of our favorites, okay? But Lori, why don't you, for the audience's sake, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then I want you to tell us then, what is rig-chem? What do you want someone to know about rig-chem?
Thank you, Brian. And as I said, this is a great opportunity, and it's wonderful to be here with all the exciting activities that are going on this entire week. But, you know, when I think about who I am, I'm a woman-owned business. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter.
I didn't know you were a grandmother.
Oh, yeah. I have a 13-year-old grandson.
Oh, awesome.
So, you know, I love to cook. I love to spend time with people. And, you know, for me, just being a person that can do all those things but have the opportunity to do them and have a wonderful and successful business aside from that is really a great attribute, and I'm very blessed. Awesome. Well, that's a full package right there. Well, tell us a little bit about rig-chem. Well, rig-chem is a 30-plus-year-old business. We're a specialty chemical manufacturer and supplier to the oil and gas industry. We've worked in the oil and gas industry for all those years as a quality specialized manufacturer and blender of products that are used mostly in the upstream part of the rig operations, Gulf of Mexico rig operations. You know, our company was formed and started by my parents, and in 2002 my sister and I purchased the company from my parents. They retired, and we've continued on with family. I have a sister that's still working with me. I have my son, my daughter-in-law, a cousin. So when you come to rig-chem and you come there around Christmas time and holidays, we're always, you know, big family and lots of goings on. So it's good. We have a good group, a really good group.
A great family.
A great family.
That's awesome.
A great team.
So you mentioned that your business focuses on our upstream, helping our upstream business do its work. You know, about a year ago, Shell Diversity, Supplier Diversity, launched a program called Find Your Fit. And we really wanted to we knew that that's what we were trying to do, is really help suppliers find their fit. But we can only do half of that. So the question becomes, how does a supplier find their fit? When you're looking for business, you're here on this trade show floor, there's hundreds and thousands of companies. You happen to focus on oil and gas and industry, but there are our peers here. So maybe you can talk about this on one or two levels. One is dig real deep back and maybe share with the audience how you found your fit within Shell. And maybe through that you can maybe share some generalities of how someone can find their fit within the company.
So we've done business with Shell for over 20 years, and in the early days, you know, when you use the coin finding your fit, it's truly what we were trying to do, is to find our fit. Okay. How could we work for a global company as a small business, be able to add value, be able to increase our growth and potential, and to also earn the trust and build the relationship that would be necessary to carry us into the future. And so I look back after 20 years, and because we are still a supplier to Shell, that tells me that we did find our fit in some way. So what we did as a company when we were trying to work into identifying how to go about getting into this market, because it's a very competitive market.
Right.
We compete with a lot of the major service companies that are in the industry. You know, the three big ones are our direct competitors.
Right.
You learn to work with these guys. We work with the big service company that is somewhat a competitor, as well as we work with everyone else that's in the service industry, because the end goal is the success for all of us. And when we're successful, you're successful, and we can do more projects, we can continue to grow, and the team becomes stronger. And the team doesn't always have to be a one-man team, because it's not. There is no one man in a team. So there's a group of companies that all work together with a common goal, and that's to create success for us all at the end. But when we found our fit was truly because companies of your size are always looking for ways to include new technology, new ideas, new ways of thinking. And what I found happened in some of the larger service companies that we competed with, because they are so big, sometimes those projects that they're working on, they have a one-size-fits-all attitude, because this is the fact that, you know, if there's a product on the shelf, they're going to take that product from the shelf, and this is what they're going to apply to your project. Where with what we can do is, because we are more nimble in our thinking, we can take that project and we can custom and specifically blend something that's going to make that project even more successful. You know, because these products are built uniquely for that particular project.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question about something you said earlier, and it's that you mentioned, Lori, that even when you find yourself in a competitive situation or going up against a competitor, that there are times when you can choose to work with that competitor.
Absolutely.
I would imagine that there's some folks in the audience that would go, why would I ever want to work with my competitor? Or they may be at a point where they say, okay, if I want to work with my competitor, how do I even start that conversation? Can you maybe share just maybe one or two things that you think you've done that helped you to be in that position to take advantage of that?
Absolutely. So when I talk about working with my competitor, you know, you have to first identify where those boundaries are in competition. Okay? We all know where's our little sacred space, that this is what we do well, and we want to make sure that we can continue to do those things well, without jeopardizing, you know, any of our
you got to protect
our trade secrets.
You got to protect your business.
Any of our business. But we also realize that in working aligned with these companies, and it may not be crossing boundaries, it's being able to work together. And this is mostly driven by the major operators, by the Shells of the world, that they'll say, we want to work with small business, and we want to continue to use the larger service companies, and we want you both to find a way to work together, and I don't want to have to be in the middle trying to make that work.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
So we're still a first-tier supplier to Shell, but there are situations, and there are many, many times that this happens, that we are walking and working hand in hand with our direct competitor.
Wonderful. Well, you know that the theme for WeBank is join forces succeeds together, right?
Absolutely.
And that's really a great example of that. Let me add a twist to that, and that is, can you talk about a moment or an opportunity where you've actually worked with another WBE to solve a problem?
So when
I threw that one on you, didn't I?
No, that's okay. And I'm gonna think about it in a second. But I do work with other WBEs. Okay. So WBEs, and it may not be specifically to provide a product or service to the end user, but it's to help to build foundations for us to all work together. So when I have an opportunity to buy women-owned, to work with women-owned, to source women-owned, that's where I focus. You know, women-owned, minority-owned, these are things that are important. Small business, you know, veteran-owned. We are all in the same situation. We're all somewhat of a disadvantage in some ways, because we are smaller. We don't have the resources that many of the larger service companies and largest service providers have.
Right.
But we can help each other, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. So there's even times that some of the other WBEs that I work with, they may be in the insurance industry, they may be specialty provider of some kind of widget, whatever it may be. So we work with them, we do, and we look for times to do that.
That's really awesome that you say that, because we had Pam Prince-Eason on earlier, and we asked her a question around if supplier diversity, if this whole space around causing more business to be done or found or created through small businesses, minority business, women-owned businesses who are typically at a disadvantage for many reasons, or maybe one reason, that there has to be this behavioral change in doing that. And we asked her what would that look like. And so when I listened to your answer just now, Lori, one thing that resonates with me is that if someone says join forces with another business enterprise, another peer, you might automatically think that the way to do that is to do it based on the service that you're providing to a client. Where you just made it very clear, it has not. It may not have very little to do with that, and that's a wonderful thing. Do you share that message externally with folks when you're out in the audience speaking?
Well, absolutely we do, and even being here at the show today. So there are many companies here, corporations that I cannot supply anything to. Okay, but I'm very clear with that. But I have very many friends that are here that are other WBEs that can. And even with the mentor program today, walking around with these young ladies that are completely out of my field, but in marketing or IT, or they're doing something that's completely different. We're always supposed to be trying to do what we can to help. Okay, so introductions are important. You build relationships by sometimes just that little thing that may be said. This is somebody I know, and I want to introduce you to this person. And how do you connect from there? Then you foster something at that time, and it grows, and it can certainly blossom into rewarding things for me. And this is where I probably enjoy my matchmaking abilities by bringing people together, through whatever their resources are, and trying to use those. So it's a good thing.
Well, maybe a couple more questions I think we have time for here. Thank you again for being here in this busy, loud but energetic kind of space here, right? So we're kind of, when I think about my company and your company, we're kind of kindred spirits. We're out there causing energy to happen and really helping to make things like that are in this building here even possible, right? Through our work. But you mentioned the fact that we've teamed you up with some students, with student entrepreneurs as part of the Student Entrepreneurship Program. Tell us about your student. Maybe tell the audience just a couple things that you found out just by being with that student here for the last day and a half or two days. Tell us whatever you want the audience to know about that student. Who is she?
So Monique Hill is a very, very dynamic young lady, and I've really enjoyed spending time with her.
Awesome.
She's got a really good head on her shoulders. She's a marketing IT major. She's at Grambling University. She's a junior. She's the youngest child of 2 brothers and 2 sisters, so 5 children. She is not from Louisiana, but she's going to college there, but she loves Louisiana. And she's really, when she got out on the floor today, and I've kind of watched her, how she's interacting with folks, she's really getting it. I'm really proud of her, and I think she's going to do great things. She's going to be one of those women that we'll look at one day and walk around this room and see with a booth or with a team or doing something really, really great. So thank you to Shell, and thank you to the people that are putting on the program within WeBank, because these young women that I've been talking to while I'm here, this has probably been the highlight of my week being here, is spending time with them and seeing them interact and grow and ask questions and listen and observe and all the things that have been really shared with them this week, that they'll probably never have that experience again. And this is something that they're taking home with them, and they'll be able to keep it forever.
That's awesome.
It's good.
Well, let's wrap up with one. Well, maybe I'll let them tell us if we've got to wrap up, but let me ask you a question. You're here with all these WBEs and corporations. As we exit here, what are you looking for while you're here?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, the obvious is business, and business is what drives these programs, because without the end result of that contract, that opportunity, that business, none of us would be able to make this trip.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't be here and neither would I.
Right.
So the reality of is to see things grow and foster from these events, and to help us to become better suppliers, better business people, better community folks, better, you know, citizens. And I think when we do these things and we can do it, and at the same time we're giving back. Because when I leave here and I go home and I have a really good event, a good trip, I go back to my team at work, you know, we do a lot of great things from there. We talk about what's happened here.
Right.
And it just, it creates that cycle of, you know, just a good feeling. So it leaves you inspired. So I think that's what I leave here is with inspiration.
Love it, love it. Well, there you have it. We have, grateful for having you here, grateful for having your influence and impact, and grateful for having you as a supplier of Shell, because that's not an easy thing to do. And we appreciate you, and anything we can do to help you grow, you let us know. Lori Davis, President and CEO of rig-chem, thank you so much.
Hi. Thank you, Brian. Thanks.